Defeating Persia, Alexander's greatest achievement. The defeat of the Persian Empire stands as Alexander the Great's crowning achievement, a feat that reshaped the ancient world and solidified his legacy as one of history's greatest conquerors. Persia was the largest and most powerful empire of its time, spanning 3 continents and ruling over a diverse array of cultures and peoples. For centuries, Persia had loomed as an indomitable force, even invading Greece in the early 5th century BCE. But in less than a decade, Alexander brought the mighty Persian Empire to its knees, realizing a vision of conquest that transformed both East and West. His victory over Persia was not simply a series of battles won, but a calculated campaign that combined tactical brilliance, diplomatic insight, and a vision for unity that transcended traditional warfare. The beginning of the campaign, a vision of conquest. Alexander's campaign against Persia began in 334 BCE, shortly after he consolidated his rule over Greece. Inspired by his father, King Philip II, who had dreamed of invading Persia, Alexander was driven by a desire to expand the Macedonian realm and achieve a legacy of greatness. His decision to confront Persia was a bold and ambitious move, as Persia was a colossal empire that outmatched Macedon in size, resources, and manpower. Crossing the Hellespont with an army of around 35,000 men, Alexander marked the beginning of his Persian campaign. His small but highly disciplined and battle-hardened force contrasted with the massive armies fielded by the Persians. However, Alexander's leadership, strategic genius, and vision for a united empire would prove more powerful than the sheer numbers and wealth of his adversary. The Battle of Granicus, the first blow to Persia. The first major confrontation between Alexander and the Persian forces occurred at the Battle of Granicus in 334 BCE. The Persian satraps of Asia Minor had gathered their forces to halt Alexander's advance, relying heavily on Greek mercenaries and a fortified position along the riverbank. Alexander, however, defied expectations with a bold frontal assault, leading his cavalry across the river in a high-risk charge. The Persian forces were overwhelmed by the speed and determination of Alexander's assault, and their lines soon collapsed. The victory at Granicus was significant because it opened Asia Minor to Alexander and demonstrated that his army was capable of challenging the Persian Empire. More importantly, it shattered the myth of Persian invincibility, inspiring both his men and the local populations to believe in his cause. The Battle of Issus, facing King Darius III. In 333 BCE, Alexander confronted Darius III, the Persian king, at the Battle of Issus. Darius commanded a vast army, far outnumbering Alexander's forces, and believed that his overwhelming numbers would guarantee victory. However, the narrow terrain of Issus limited the mobility of Darius's troops, allowing Alexander to deploy his phalanx and companion cavalry to devastating effect. The battle ended in a decisive victory for Alexander. His daring charge with the companion cavalry broke through the Persian lines and struck directly at Darius, who panicked and fled, leaving his family and his troops behind. The defeat at Issus had enormous repercussions. It not only displayed Alexander's tactical genius but also demoralized the Persian forces and damaged Darius's credibility as a leader. The capture of Darius's family also provided Alexander with a significant bargaining chip, which he used to negotiate with Darius, although the Persian king refused to surrender. The victory at Issus paved the way for Alexander's further advances into Persian territory and established his reputation as an undefeated general. By defeating Darius in direct combat, Alexander showed that he was not only a capable ruler but also a worthy rival to the Persian king. The Siege of Tyre and the Conquest of Egypt. After Issus, Alexander continued his campaign along the Mediterranean coast, securing critical port cities to prevent Persian reinforcements from reaching Asia Minor. One of his most challenging conquests was the fortified island city of Tyre, which had refused to surrender. Alexander laid siege to Tyre in 332 BCE, constructing a massive causeway to connect the island to the mainland. After 7 months of relentless fighting, his forces breached the city's defenses and captured Tyre in a brutal assault. The fall of Tyre was a significant blow to Persian control over the eastern Mediterranean, and it demonstrated Alexander's persistence and innovative approach to siege warfare. With Tyre under his control, he continued south into Egypt, where he was welcomed as a liberator. The Egyptians, discontent with Persian rule, declared Alexander pharaoh, and he established the city of Alexandria, which would later become a center of Hellenistic culture. Alexander's conquest of Egypt further solidified his control over Persian territories and added to his reputation as a visionary leader. His time in Egypt also reinforced his sense of destiny. After consulting the oracle at Siwa, he was declared the son of Zeus Ammon, a title that strengthened his claim to divine favor and leadership. The decisive Battle of Gaugamela. The final confrontation with Darius occurred at the Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BCE. Darius had assembled a massive army, including war chariots, cavalry, and war elephants, in an attempt to overpower Alexander. The battle took place on the plains of Gaugamela, a location chosen by Darius to maximize his advantage in numbers and mobility. Despite being outnumbered, Alexander's tactical acumen once again proved decisive. He arranged his phalanx and cavalry in a flexible formation, feigning an attack on the Persian center while executing a flanking maneuver. As Darius's forces moved to counter this, Alexander spotted a gap in the Persian lines and led a direct charge toward Darius, forcing the Persian king to flee once more. The victory at Gaugamela marked the end of Persian resistance. With Darius in retreat and his army shattered, Alexander was free to march into the Persian heartland. In the months that followed, he captured the Persian capitals of Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis, seizing the wealth of the empire and solidifying his control. The fall of Persepolis, symbolic end of the Persian Empire. After capturing Persepolis, Alexander allowed his troops to loot the city, and in a controversial decision, he ordered it to be burned. The reasons for this act remain debated. Some suggest it was revenge for the Persian sack of Athens in 480 BCE, while others believe it was a political statement symbolizing the end of the Achaemenid dynasty. Regardless of the motives, the burning of Persepolis marked the symbolic end of Persian dominance and the rise of Alexander's empire. The wealth and resources gained from the Persian capitals enabled Alexander to finance his continued campaigns and reward his troops. The fall of Persepolis was a turning point that confirmed Alexander's victory over Persia and signified a new era of Greek influence in the East. The pursuit and death of Darius III. Although Darius fled eastward after Gaugamela, Alexander pursued him relentlessly, determined to eliminate the last vestiges of Persian resistance. However, Darius was betrayed by one of his own satraps, Bessus, who captured and killed him in 330 BCE. When Alexander found Darius's body, he reportedly covered it with his own cloak and ordered a royal burial, showing respect for his fallen rival. Darius's death marked the final collapse of the Achaemenid Empire and solidified Alexander's control. By honoring Darius with a proper burial and punishing Bessus as a traitor, Alexander reinforced his image as a rightful successor to the Persian throne. He adopted the title King of Kings and began to integrate Persian customs into his rule, signaling his intention to govern not as a conqueror but as a ruler of a united empire. Legacy of Alexander's conquest of Persia. Alexander's defeat of Persia was his greatest achievement, transforming him from a Macedonian king into the ruler of a vast, multicultural empire. His conquest brought an end to the Persian Empire, which had dominated the Near East for over 2 centuries, and established a new era of Hellenistic influence that would shape the ancient world. Beyond his military victories, Alexander's approach to governance in Persia set the stage for a blended culture. He adopted Persian customs, married a Persian princess, and encouraged his officers to marry Persian noblewomen. This policy of integration helped bridge the cultural divide between his Greek and Persian subjects, laying the groundwork for the Hellenistic Age, a period characterized by the exchange of ideas, art, science, and philosophy across East and West. Alexander's conquest of Persia was not merely a military campaign. It was a vision of unity that transcended traditional boundaries. By defeating the most powerful empire of his time, Alexander demonstrated that a unified world was possible, one where Greek and Persian ideals could coexist. His victory over Persia remains a testament to his strategic genius, ambition, and legacy as a leader who reshaped the course of history. The fall of Persia and the rise of Hellenistic culture would continue to influence civilizations for centuries, marking Alexander's greatest achievement as one that extended beyond conquest to the creation of a new world order.